Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Brennan saves Carly from prison. Incriminating recording gets deleted. General Hospital. EHS spoilers reveal that a surprise hero could emerge in Carly Spencer's Laura Wright storyline. The show obviously isn't sending Carly to prison for 2 decades over RICO violations and criminal conspiracy charges, so they have to get her out of this mess somehow. That brings us to Jack Brennan, Charles Mashore, who has obviously had a crush on Carly from the moment he met her. There were some bumps in the road since Brennan had zip ties and was seemingly about to kidnap Carly at one point, but he downplayed that as a simple misunderstanding. Brennan has likely grown even more enamored with Carly since she's not afraid of him and has sought his advice more than once. In fact, Carly made Brennan her confidant when it came to this FBI mess and her incriminating recording problem. It seemed bizarre for GH writers to have Carly spilling all that to Brennan at the time, but now it's starting to make sense. Brennan's stint came with a villainous beginning since he was the head of pikemen and manipulated Carly. Now Brennan may redeem himself by becoming Carly's hero and saving her from a lengthy stint in prison. Anna Devon, Finola Hughes, recently discovered that all traces of Brennan had disappeared from Pentonville. There's no proof that Brennan was ever there since all his legal records have been wiped. Anna suspects that was the WSB's doing, and that Brennan may have some sort of leverage that's helping him deal with his FBI drama. Although Anna doesn't have all the answers yet, she'll keep digging and will make a stunning discovery during the week of July 29 August too. That'll help Anna as she works on a theory and shares it with Jason Morgan, Steve Burton. Regardless of what's really going on with Brennan, it's reasonable to think he could help Carly using his connections. Brennan's own trail vanished, so he may make sure something similar happens for Carly. Will that incriminating recording suddenly get deleted and leave the FBI with no evidence to use against Carly? As a bonus, that would free Jason as well and finally end the madness. General Hospital spoilers say Brennan could come through for Carly when it counts, so stick with us for more predictions on any courtroom surprises and updates on any good news that might be looming. The tension in Port Charles was palpable as Carly Corinthos found herself on the brink of a nightmare. Accusations had been leveled against her, and the walls of her world were closing in. The incriminating evidence was damning, and it seemed like an inevitable descent into a prison cell was on the horizon. Little did she know, a twist of fate and an unexpected savior would soon change everything. Carly sat in the dimly lit interrogation room, the fluorescent lights flickering ominously above her. Her eyes, usually filled with determination, now held a shadow of fear. She glanced at the two-way mirror, knowing that behind it, Detective Chase and the ADA were scrutinizing her every move. The recording, the one that could seal her fate, played over and over in her mind. It was a clear audio of her discussing plans that could be construed as illegal dealings with Sonny Corinthos. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat a reminder of the time slipping away. Meanwhile, across town, Damian Spinelli, the tech genius and Carly's loyal friend, was working frantically. Spinelli had always been Carly's go-to guy for anything tech-related. If anyone could find a way to clear her name, it was him. However, this time he wasn't alone. Harrison Chase had called in a favor from an old friend, an enigmatic figure known only as Brennan. Brennan was a shadow in the cyber world, a master of hacking and digital espionage. His reputation preceded him, and his skills were unparalleled. The two men worked in tandem, a symphony of keystrokes and codes, attempting to trace the source of the recording. Spinelli's fingers danced across the keyboard, while Brennan's deep voice guided him through the complexities of the digital labyrinth they were navigating. They needed to find the original file, locate where it was stored, and most importantly, determine if it could be deleted without leaving a trace. Back in the interrogation room, Carly's lawyer, Diane Miller, arrived. Her presence brought a semblance of hope. Diane was a force to be reckoned with, known for her sharp mind and even sharper tongue. She immediately demanded to see the evidence against Carly, scrutinizing every detail with a fine-tooth comb. Her eyes narrowed as she listened to the recording, sensing that something was off. She knew her client, and she knew this wasn't the whole story. Hours passed, and the pressure mounted. Spinelli and Brennan had traced the recording to a secure server in a location only someone with immense resources could access. The server belonged to a private security firm known for its shady dealings and connections with the underworld. Brennan's eyes darkened with recognition. He knew this firm and its reputation. They needed to act fast. Spinelli, we need a diversion. Brennan's voice was calm but urgent. I'm going in. Spinelli nodded, his fingers flying over the keyboard to create a digital smokescreen. Brennan's skills took over, his hacking abilities slicing through the server's defenses like a hot knife through butter. He reached the file, the incriminating recording, and paused. Deleting it was one thing, but ensuring it couldn't be recovered was another. He initiated a program designed to overwrite the file multiple times, erasing it beyond recovery. The seconds ticked by, feeling like hours. Brennan's eyes never left the screen, his concentration absolute. Finally, the program completed its task. The recording was gone. In the interrogation room, the ADA received a call. His face paled as he listened, his eyes darting to Carly and Diane. He hung up and left the room abruptly. Moments later, he returned, his demeanor changed. Miss Corinthos, you're free to go, he said, his voice tight with frustration. Carly and Diane exchanged confused glances, but relief washed over them. They gathered their things and left the station, stepping into the cool night air. Carly inhaled deeply, the weight of the world lifting from her shoulders. She turned to Diane, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. What happened? Diane smiled, a knowing glint in her eyes. Let's just say you have friends in high places. At that moment, Spinelli and Brennan emerged from the shadows. Carly rushed to them, enveloping Spinelli in a hug. Thank you, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Spinelli grinned, stepping aside to reveal Brennan. Carly's eyes widened as she took in the tall, enigmatic figure. You must be Brennan, she said, extending her hand. Brennan shook it, his grip firm but gentle. Just doing my part, he replied, a hint of a smile on his lips. As they stood there, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. Carly had been saved by the very technology that had almost destroyed her. She looked at Brennan and Spinelli, two unlikely heroes, and knew that she owed them her freedom. The next 2 days were a whirlwind. Carly returned to her life, but the experience had left an indelible mark on her.